So on this particular day, you're with your instructor,
Yep.
with Jack. Tell me what happened.
So I'm sat in the front of the Harrier T8, a two-seater training version with the single-seat Harrier. And Jack London is my instructor in the back, famed, legendary within Fleet Air Roll. And we're learning how to do short takeoffs with the Harrier, where we put the nozzles down at a certain speed, around 50 miles an hour or so, and we leap into the air, and then we accelerate away and start flying a little bit more like a normal aircraft. And we're also learning how to do something called a roller vertical landing, where you land really slowly in a really short bit of land to the marketplace out in front. So we were learning to do that. It was my 16th trip in the Harrier with Jack, and we lined up. We'd already done one takeoff and landed it just to burn down some fuel because we were a little bit heavier than we needed to be. And the Harriers, the thrust is very, very finely balanced to the weight of the aircraft, so we were too heavy to hover. So we burned that down and we landed on a little thin taxiway, and we prepared to take off again. So we ran through the emergencies brief, which we do, all from memory, or something that's just drilled into you from day one with aviation. What you'll do at certain points in the takeoff run, because that's when time's critical. You don't have time to think. You've just got to react. So we ran through that. We both agreed that was the plan, and I slammed to full power. And once I'd taken off at around 50 feet or so with Harry, you have to gallop the aeroplane. It doesn't nicely fly off. You've got to hold it, fight it, and get it pointing in the right direction and relative to the wind as well. Otherwise, it turns upside down and crashes. So, which is eventually what happened anyway. So at 50 feet, there was this huge explosion, this huge pressure wave that came through the cockpit, and I was flung to the front, but basically hitting the glare shield and just being held back by the straps. And the whole warning panel, our warnings were kind of went up a glare shield like this. Every single light was on and it was flashing, but there was no sound, and it was like someone had turned off either my hearing or the audio. And this really bright glow, and the aircraft, as I'm leaning forward, it rapidly starts to roll to the right. So 50 feet, no higher than this building, and roll into the right. So I instinctively slammed the stick to the left, which didn't do anything, and turns out it wouldn't have done because we're only at 50 or so miles an hour. We're not like another aeroplane aerodynamically controlled. We're purely controlled because we've got thrust coming from the engine, and that thrust had completely gone. The blades had separated, and as they'd separated, they'd hit the aileron control rod over my left shoulder, which had given the aeroplane the full right roll. So up to 100 feet, back down to 50, and at about 90 degrees to where I was. So that was what the altimeter report said. And to me personally, in the cockpit where you're just surrounded by perspex and obviously looking at a threat and no head-up display that normally tells you what orientation you're at, it just looked like I was upside down. So yeah, you have this really, really, really bizarre complex going around in the brain. Do you pull your ejection handle when you're briefed? You've trained. Everyone said that's what you do. You pull your ejection handle, eject in time. But at that moment, there wasn't any time. The time had already passed. Maybe a second or so gone. So it was just a choice between, do I pull the ejection seat and eject myself straight into the ground because effectively I'm upside down, or do I ride it in, and do I stay with the aircraft and land on my head? In which case, both ways, it's a choice of how you're going to die. But maybe it's the training. You're always told to follow orders. to do the right thing, and the right thing is to eject. So I didn't think it was worth it. So I didn't make myself into any ejection posture that you're meant to do. I just looked down and made sure I grabbed the right handle, because there were a few handles on the ejection seat for various things, and held it and just pulled it up to my shoulder, and then it popped me out eventually. My head between my legs, and saw the rocket spike.